Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. To continue our lectures, now we're talking about types and causes of pain. Avicenna extended Galen's classification of four types of pain within the canon and categorized 15 types of pain with their causes. Some of these terms are remarkably similar to those used in McGill Pain Questionnaire. And the table the followed now we comparison of Galen's Avicenna's and modern classification of pain types. However, one should be cautious when cross-matching terms because the McGill Pain Questionnaire classifies as an individual report of their experience of pain, whereas Avicenna's classified types of pain based on causes. In this table, according to Avicenna, organs can be either sensitive or non-sensitive. Sensitive organs produce pain sensation if stimulated, while non-sensitive organs like the upper part of the stomach may transmit other sensation like the feeling of weight of tumor, while no pain sensation is associated with it. Effect and diagnostic value of pain. Avicenna appeared to appreciate the importance of pain in medical diagnosis and refer to pain as a diagnostic criterion throughout. In the canon, Avicenna realized that this devastating effect of pain and identifies two major outcomes: interruption of function of organs and persistent heat production within the volume entitled The General Principle of Medicine. Avicenna included a chapter about signs and symptoms in which he described the most serious symptom of swelling and interruption of continuity, or those arising from sensitive nervous organs, and included fainting due to pain or seizure. A comparison Avicenna's discussion with clinical reasoning used in modern day pain medicine would be interesting. However, Avicenna considered alteration in pulse and urine rather than pain as more important indicators of the condition of the body and devoted extended chapter to diagnosing general signs of disease with little mention of pain. Pain relief, taskin of pain, taskin dar. Avicenna called pain relief taskin of pain, which literally means making pain quiet. In modern Arabic language, taskin has become the equivalent of analgesia. Avicenna included a three-page chapter entitled Pain Analgesia, in which he suggested that the doctors should always seek the cause of pain through proper diagnosis and that treatment of pain should be directed to the cause of the pain. He described three general analgesic protocols: temperament change, matter dissolving drugs, and anesthetics. Avicenna described the temperament change in a chapter devoted to general treatment as a change of the condition of an organ from cold to hot or vice versa. Avicenna believed that the factors affecting temperament included change in food, climate, rest, exercise, sleep, and emotion. An example of Avicenna's temperament change protocol was walking a long distance, listening to noise music, which induces Sleep or engaging in pleasurable experience can be powerful analgesic. In the volume single medicine, Avicenna refers to matter dissolving drugs as a relaxant or softener and included linseed and chamomile. Linseed, روغن الكتان, chamomile, babuna. Avicenna referred to anesthetic as a mukhadar. Mukhadar has a range of meaning including a place of tranquility, especially for women, and a description of an inebriated man. The word mukhadar was in common use before Avicenna's writing to describe a recipe used to dull the sensation. For example, Rhazes used opium as mukhadar prior to surgery. In the fifth volume, Pharmacopoeia, Avicenna included ice as mukhadar, and he also listed a variety of plants with hypnotic, anesthetic, and analgesic action, including mukhadara gora or nightshade, opium, and henbane. Avicenna advocated the use of various recipes of these agents for anesthesia and analgesia before surgery and was aware of the strength and potential toxicity of some of the formulas. Avicenna advised doctors not to use strong analgesics unless it was absolutely necessary. Avicenna appeared to distinguish between drugs that induce sleep and those that help to dull the sensation, although he also claimed that anesthetics might relieve pain by inducing sleep. Avicenna effects of opium on sensation of pain. The effect of the opium poppy, Papaver somniferum, have been known for most of human history. At the end of this third millennium, the Sumerians were the first civilization to cultivate opium, which was soon distributed across the ancient world. Medical uses of the opium poppy were first described in medical textbooks of ancient Greek physicians, including Dioscorides and Galen, and later in the medieval period the famous scholar Avicenna. Avicenna clearly described analgesic activity of opium and explained that opium can be used to treat any types of pain due to its strong anesthetic and sedative properties. He recommended prescribing opium for pain relief in refractory chronic headache, arthralgia, toothache, otalgia, and other painful conditions through different routes of drug delivery, including oral, topical, rectal, and intranasal. Conclusion: the virtue of Avicenna as a writer and a scholar of medicine are well known within the Muslim world and beyond. In the canon, Avicenna uses a style of writing which is elegant, eloquent, and articulate, and the quality of his dedicative reasoning is clearly visible and has been acknowledged by modern historians. Avicenna's originality in his investigations of a range of anatomical and surgical issues contributed much to those fields. Nevertheless, Avicenna's theories and his contribution to medical knowledge has been challenged with the claims that Avicenna did not develop Galen's idea to any appreciate extent. Our analysis of the canon suggests that Avicenna built on Galen's concept of pain by insisting that pain does not necessarily have result from an ongoing injury. He also gave a more detailed description of types of pain. Further critical investigation of the writing of Islamic scholars on the science and practice of pain medicine is welcome, as they are often neglected in historical accounts. Such investigations will not only provide a historical context for medical anthropology but will inform current practice such as Greco-Arab medicine, which is still practiced in number of places in the Islamic world today. References. As we started with the pretest, like this diagram, think. We use pretest. Listen and watch. That's you did all this. And now we have the test. Good luck. And at the end of would like to acknowledge engineer Fahim Hakim for his calligraphy, Ahmad Karim Hakim for drawing, Ahmad Farzan Pirzad and Dr. Faisal Pirzad and my department colleagues for their assistance. Thank you very much.